Welcome ladies and gentlemen to my Magicka Templar PvE build for Homestead. You will find easy to get gear setups etc. on my website alcasthq.com/Beamplar, so make sure to go check it out. Now, we are using the Thief Mundus Stone because this is simply the best one. You can be a vampire but it's not mandatory. Then, race wise, High Elf or a Dark Elf. Like, Dark Elf gets slightly more fire damage, but I just prefer High Elf. So it's up to you what you choose. Breton also works. Then in terms of buff food, we use Health Magicka and Spell Power Pots like always. You will find the ingredients on my website if you don't know how to craft those. Gear wise, 2 pieces Grofgar, it's still the best, even though they slightly nerfed it. So basically medium armor and heavy armor piece. And then we have 5 pieces Burning Spell Weave. Make sure to have everything in Divine. And again, like 5 light, 1 heavy, 1 medium. Because of Undaunted passive here. So we get 6% overall more resources. That's why we have so much Magicka. And when there is aggressive Warhorn active, we sit at like 46 or 47k Magicka. Like we have a lot. It's insane. Now, 3 pieces Moondancer Jewelry, all spell damage enchants, and then Moondancer Swords, both sharpened, 1 weapon damage enchantment, and then here I use a Daedric enchantment. And here I have another weapon damage enchant. You could use, like, you don't need to, like, put the fire damage enchantment here or here if you want to. You don't really need a Maelstrom stuff, because we use dual wield. That's the main reason. And now as you can see, like, Burning Spell with this procs on fire damage, gives us 600 spell damage, really nice. So Grofgar is fire damage, then we have Reflective Light and the Wall of Fire. Those 3 things, like Shooting Star and the Death Rule, this also will give us like a 60% uptime. That's as high as it gets, really. More than enough. Then Moondancer, you need to activate a synergy to get it to proc, so it's only active on our dual wield bar. As you can see here, we only have 4 pieces, right? So you need to activate synergies on this bar, but it's your main bar anyway, so it shouldn't be a problem. When it's activated, you either get the recovery buff or a spell damage buff. I showcased this set in one of my other videos. I will put the link into the description of the video so you actually can see how it looks like. I also explain it a little bit better. So we can get a lot of spell damage. If Burning Spell Wave is active and this one spell damage, it's over 1000 spell damage, and with all the multipliers it's insane. You get close to 5k if everything is active with the weapon damage enchant and all that stuff. Now, if you do not have Moondancer Swords, what you can do is use Willpower Swords. That was my previous setup. So, like, you get more Magicka from this. Sure, like, it's nice to have the Moondancer proc, but it took me like 9 months to get those swords, seriously. The drop rate is so bad. Now in terms of, like, it's sometimes hard to activate synergies, but once you get used to it, it shouldn't be a problem. Again, if you don't have like this best in slot gear setup on my website, you will find like easier to get setups and all that kind of stuff. So that's it about the gear setup. We still use dual wield because it does more damage. Like when you see here we have 2, 3, 5, 2 spell damage, we swap, we are at 2, 1, 1, 5. We still get more spell damage from it. And then the dual wield wise, it's 5% overall more damage through swords. Each sword increases your damage done by 2.5%, so this works here. I also have this active, actually not really sure if it works, but just in case. And this here, but you don't need those two, just activate those. And of course we get 1 more bonus if you have dual wield, which is really nice. Then you might think, oh, but how's the sustain on Magicka Templar? It's actually really great next patch because on how they changed like elemental Elite Rain, for example, we have like no problem sustaining anymore. It's insane what that change brought to Magicka Templars. Champion points. Let's start here. 100 Arcanist, 100 Magician, really simple, and then 100 Hardy. Now in case like you know you're in a trial like Maw of Lorkhas where there is not a lot of physical damage, you could take out those points and put them into Spell Shield to get more spell resistance, just a tip. 75 Thaumaturge. Now here what we do, why do we have 75 here? First of all, our abilities are basically dot damage, so damage over time. And then we also get the Exploiter. If you have Magicka Sorks in your group, which you should have, they can proc concussion effect on the enemy through lightning skills. And if there is a wall of shock, it will proc off balanced. It also works on bosses, so you get 10% more damage. That's a lot, okay? That's a lot of extra damage. So make sure there's a wall of lightning, either from your healer or from a Sork. 100 Elemental Expert and 25 into Elfborn. Really simple setup, but really freaking effective. Now, in terms of skills, there is a few changes, but let's just go through it. Basically, single target fight, you want Purifying Light, like they buffed this a little bit. What it does now is it deals a small damage, like it deals small damage on impact, and then it deals like a burst of damage when it expires. Here like the tooltip is wrong, it's something like 26-27k, I'm not sure why it shows it wrong. No clue. Anyway, now Reflective Light. This is it's a single target and AoE skill, like you can shoot 3 sunballs at the enemy. Always use this and keep it up. It's actually really strong. Puncturing Sweeps, this is our main spam ability. So that's why I like Magicka Templar. You can hit several enemies with it, and the first enemy you hit takes 140% extra damage. And you also heal yourself for 35% of the damage done. So while you're DPSing, you actually have so much healing on you, which makes you die less, which is cool. Jesus Beam, aka Radiant Oppression. This is still really strong, the strongest execute in the game, so make sure to use it. I usually start using it at 35%. I keep up the dots though, like Reflective Light and Wall of Fire. We will see in a second when I show you the rotation. Inner Light gives us 5% more Magicka, plus another 2, and then Shooting Star another 2, because of, where is it? Mage's Guild here, yep. Increases your max Magicka and recovery by 2% for each Mage's Guild ability slotted, so that's a 4%. 5 plus 2, we had 9% overall more Magicka. Back bar, blockade of fire, so you need the fire blockade because burning enemies take 20% more damage, and if you have a Magicka DK in your group which puts Engulfing Flame on it, all your fire skills deal another 10% more damage. Rearming Trap, Minor Force, increase your critical damage done by 10%. We still have quite high spell critical, so that's actually really nice. Harness Magicka, this is mainly here to save you from stupid deaths, because a dead damage dealer does negative DPS because somebody else needs to res you. So when you know big damage is incoming, activate the shield, you're not gonna die. Blazing Spear, this got a really nice buff, PvE wise. It now lasts 8 seconds, so it is a must-have in every rotation. And of course, like Puncturing Sweeps, it also can proc Burning Light. See, you have a 25% chance to deal 4.6k magic damage. So that's really nice, and it only has a 0.5 second cooldown. So we use this here and this. 2 skills, it basically almost procs on cooldown then, because it has a 25% chance, really high. Again, Inner Light and Fiery Rage. Use this ultimate on trash fights, or like when there is several ads, because it hits really hard. Single target fight, Shooting Star, still better. Now, if you have already Fury Rage charged, use this. I think it deals slightly more damage than Shooting Star, at least in my opinion. And it just keep in mind, this goes on for 12 seconds and this is 7 seconds. So if the boss moves in like 7-8 seconds, it's better to use Fury Rage, because you will have the full damage on the boss and not Shooting Star. Because the Shooting Star doesn't help you if the boss moves out of your damage after 6 seconds. Like, you not deal a lot of damage. The next skill, Ritual of Retribution. So for example in trash fights you could use this here, because this actually does really nice damage, AoE damage. So I really recommend slotting it if there is like ads or trash fights. That's basically it about the setup. Now let's go check out the rotation. In terms of rotation, Wall of Fire, Blazing Spear both 8 seconds, Rearming Trap is like 12 seconds. So that's really nice. So what we do is we drop the trap, Spear, Wall of Fire, Weapon Swap, Reflective Light, Purifying Light, and then sweep till the buffs run out. And now before I weapon swap, I shoot another Reflective Light and weapon swap cancel it. So you don't really lose time using it. Then Spear, Wall of Fire, Weapon Swap, another Reflective Light, Purifying Light, and sweep till the buffs run out. Weapon Swap, Trap, Wall of Fire, Reflective Light, Purifying Light. Now if you miss a few things, it doesn't really matter. It's just, it's nice if you can. Now, if I do this in a fast rotation, just to show you, it looks something like this. Usually like 2 seconds before the buffs run out, you want to weapon swap. Some might think using Reflective Light is a DPS loss, but really it's not. So just keep using it, it does quite nice damage. So the rotation is pretty simple, as you like, all you need to get used to is the timing on those 6 to 8 seconds. So when I drop the Wall of Fire, after 6 seconds, like I reapply Reflective Light, Purifying Light, then we have like 4 seconds left to use Puncturing Sweeps, so that's like 3 sweeps. After 3-4 sweeps you swap back, throw the Spear, and then Wall of Fire again. Now you don't want Wall of Fire to run out and then swap. You need to swap before it runs out, otherwise you lose uptime on Wall of Fire. This skill is really strong. When should you be using Jesus Beam like this skill? So what I usually do is I keep up the rotation, mainly Reflective Light and Wall of Fire, and then at like 35% I start beaming, right? And when we reach 15% health, I just use beam and nothing else. Unless the fight goes on really long, so I reapply trap along with the Wall of Fire and I beam again. But that's something else to consider. So like when, let's say this skeleton has now 35% health, we drop the trap, this here, and we beam till it runs out. Then we shoot the Reflective Light, weapon swap, trap, Wall of Fire again, beam. Just keep going. And now again Reflective Light, weapon swap, trap, Wall of Fire, beam. But it's just like you really want to keep up the crit buff at all times. And then when the boss reaches 15%, you just beam and nothing else. That's usually what I do. Well, I will upload tons of fights during Homestead update, so you kind of can see there what I'm trying to do. Just remember, like, boss fights are always situational, so having a rotation is nice, but being able to adapt to certain situations is even better, and you need to learn that. You need to get used to the boss fights and all that mechanics to get really good DPS. That's basically it. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching and have a nice day. Cheers.